Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elder Heart, where we share stories that touch your soul and inspire your heart. Today, I want to tell you a true story, one that changed my life forever. It's about time, choices, and the power of one small sentence. So stay with me till the end, because this story might just change your life too. Let's begin. She set the table for two every single night, year after year, through storms and sunshine, laughter and tears. The candles were always lit, the silverware carefully placed, the second plate waiting silently beside hers. But that other plate, it was never touched. Not once. Not even on the coldest, loneliest nights. Friends told her to move on, to let go. But she couldn't. Because deep down she believed that one day, against all odds, the empty chair across from her would be filled again. Then one bitter winter morning, as frost clung to the window panes and the town lay under a heavy blanket of snow, something happened. Something no one expected. Something that would change everything. In a quiet coastal town in Maine, where the waves whispered secrets only the old could understand, lived a woman named Margaret Holloway. Her days passed in rhythm, with the tides slow and steady, as if time itself moved differently on that lonely bluff. Her cottage stood against the wind with stubborn dignity, its white paint long surrendered to the salt air, peeling like pages of an old book. Inside, the scent of lavender and old books lingered. Photographs yellowed with age sat in dusty frames, some tilted, as if they too were weary of waiting. Neighbors whispered stories of ghosts, lost love, and a house frozen in time. But inside, something sacred still waited. Something only those who have loved and lost could understand. Margaret wasn't just waiting for someone. She was holding space for a promise time hadn't dared to break. Every evening at exactly 6, she set the table for two, one plate for herself and the other for the empty chair across from her. No one in town knew why she did it. Children made up ghost stories. Neighbors whispered about heartbreak. But only Margaret knew the truth. The chair belonged to Thomas. They met as teenagers during one of those golden summers that seemed to stretch forever in memory. The town fair was alive with color and laughter. Lanterns swayed, children ran, and old men told stories. Margaret was 17, a quiet dreamer with ink stains on her fingers and a soft smile. She stood near a cotton candy cart, watching the fair like it was a poem unfolding. That's when she saw Thomas. He stood alone by the ring-toss booth, nervously fidgeting with a carved wooden keychain. He was tall, with sandy brown hair, and eyes like damp earth after rain. Though shy and awkward, there was something steady and kind about him. Their eyes met. He offered her the last cup of apple cider, spilling half on his boots. They walked the fairgrounds, talking for hours about books, the ocean, and dreams. It wasn't love at first sight. No racing hearts or stammered words. It was something quieter, gentler, like the soft unfolding of dawn light. A calm warmth that slowly grew, steady and sure. Thomas found peace in Margaret's calm presence, and she saw in him a steady kindness, a homecoming. By the end of the night, Thomas shyly reached for Margaret's hand. She didn't pull away. And from that moment, they were more than two people. They were a promise, quietly growing. They fell in love quickly, recklessly, like the tide crashing on rocks. Their wedding was small daisies in her hair, calluses on his palms, and promises made under an old oak tree. Life was simple, full of homemade soup, soft dances in the kitchen, and whispered dreams. Then the draft came. It was 1951. Thomas was called to serve in Korea. The morning he left, Margaret held his coat so tightly her fingers bruised. He smiled and said, "I'll come back to you, I promise. I always will." She never saw him again. 4 months later, a telegram arrived. Missing in action. Not dead, not alive, just gone. The silence that followed was louder than any bomb. Every knock on the door startled her heart. Every letter brought hope, then tears. She never remarried, never moved, never packed away his things. His coat still hung by the door. His tools still lined the shed. His toothbrush sat beside hers. And every evening, she made dinner for two. Years passed like slow tides, carrying whispers of days that would never return. Friends urged her to move on, to find happiness elsewhere, to let go of a past frozen in time. But how do you move on from someone who is not just memory, but a living presence in every heartbeat? Margaret didn't try to forget. She didn't fill the empty chair with someone new. She waited not just patiently, but with fierce hope that one day Thomas would walk back into her life. She waited for a ghost, a promise, a love that never stopped existing in her heart. Every morning, she watched the horizon for a returning boat, a familiar silhouette against the rising sun. Every evening, she lit a candle by the window, a beacon to guide him home, or at least to light the way in her dreams. Neighbors called her the widow of the waves. Children made ghost stories. But it wasn't grief that kept her going. It was love, quiet, faithful, unshakable. Every Christmas Eve, without fail, Margaret lit a single candle on her windowsill. The flame danced softly, casting a warm glow against the cold winter night. It was more than light, it was a symbol, a silent beacon of hope sent into the darkness. A message to the man who promised to return. She imagined him somewhere beyond the horizon, lost, tired, lonely, and the candle said, "I'm still here. I'm waiting for you." Neighbors often saw the candle's glow and smiled, knowing the story of the woman who refused to give up. The candle's flame became a symbol of unwavering faith, a heart that never stopped hoping. One snowy morning just after Christmas, her neighbor Aaron knocked on her door. No answer. He opened it slowly. The fire had burned out. The tea kettle was cold. Margaret sat in her chair, eyes closed, a soft smile on her lips. She had passed away peacefully in the night. But no one could explain what was found in the empty chair. A single fresh red rose, full, red, alive as if it had just been placed there. No footprints in the snow, no visitors. Just that rose. Aaron swore the room smelled faintly of cedar. The chair looked like someone had just been sitting there. Maybe somewhere between this world and the next, Thomas kept his promise. Maybe love the real kind, the kind that waits and endures, never leaves an empty chair empty forever. She waited a lifetime through lonely winters and hopeful springs, holding onto a love many said was lost forever. But in the end, her love didn't return as a fading memory or whisper lost to time. It came back as a miracle, a moment full of grace, healing every wound, filling every empty corner of her heart. That empty chair, once a symbol of loss, became a testament to hope and the power of never giving up. If this story touched your heart, if it stirred something deep inside, please share it with others. Because somewhere in a quiet home or silent room, someone's chair is still waiting to be filled, waiting for their own miracle of love, reunion, or peace. Your sharing could be the light that reaches that heart and reminds them they are not alone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Elder Heart for more stories that touch the soul and remind us of love's timeless power.